Hey everybody, Jeff Reinhart here, LMP and Lancaster Online. It's the Huddle, the Yellow League Football Podcast, sponsored by Auto House of Lancaster. Pull up a chair for Week 11. We made it to Week 11 playoffs. Playoffs get started, postseason play, Friday night. A lot of buys, the CVs and Hemfields and Townships and Wilsons and Solankos, etc., Twin Valley, YOLS, they all got buys. So this is not a jam-packed week, which is good, I guess. 9 games on the card involving LL League teams, 8 in District 3 playoff games, and 1, Governor Mifflin, in an Eastern Football Conference game. I've gotten to know those better here the last couple of years. A lot of those Burke schools are in that Eastern Conference, so seems like one of them's always playing in one of those Eastern Conference games every year, and Mifflin got in this year. So let's break it down, give you some nuggets, give you some picks. 9 games, so a tidy night of football. Win and advance, lose and you're done. Report directly to winter sports practice, which starts like in 2 weeks. Ready? All right, let's talk about these games. Break them down. A lot of out of LL, non-LL teams. So I did my best, did my homework. Still doing my homework as I record. So I don't know these teams inside and out like some of the LLs, but I'll do my best to give you some nuggets. Ready? Let's go. 6A. One 6A game this week featuring an LL, and it's Cedar Crest. Cedar Crest at Cedar Cliff. Talk about getting confused and getting those two mixed up doing previews all week. Saw the Falcons last week in the Cedar Bowl Thursday night. They looked good. I didn't realize how injured Cedar Crest was. They were missing some guys, and they have missed some guys throughout the season. We'll see how healthy they are for this one. I've seen Crest twice. I also saw them play Township in a big Section 1 game about a month ago. And Crest can do some good things when they're healthy, and Zimmerman's running the ball, and Reyes is, rolling out and bootlegging. They can really do some things, and their defense is good. Klein and Starry both went over 100 tackles last week for the second year in a row. That's impressive. Cedar Cliff, they're in that Mid-Penn Commonwealth, so they're playing Cumberland Valley and Harrisburg and McDevitt and State College. They had a grinder schedule, so they're also 5-5. A couple of 5-5 teams here, and all these matchups this week are close. It's the 8 against the 9. It's the 5 against the 6 or something, or the 2 against the 4. So these are all coin tosser picks. So I have Cedar Crest circled. I know they got to go on the road, West Shore Stadium over in Camp Hill, but they have weapons, and I've seen them fire. So they get a big night from Zimmerman. There's no reason Cedar Crest can't win this game. So I have the Falcons circled. Let's get the pick started. 6A, first round. I will go Cedar Crest over Cedar Cliff. That should be interesting. 5A games, 3 of them. This bracket's nuts. You got Solanco sitting out there. You got Conestoga Valley sitting out there. You got Bishop McDevitt sitting out there. And you have 10-0 New Oxford sitting out there. So, yeah, there will be some heavy-duty big boy games next week. But these teams got to win Friday to advance. First up, Shippensburg Greyhounds at Warwick. Interesting game. Very interesting game. Rematch. These two met in the first round last year at Ship, and the Greyhounds won 20-13. So this year the scene shifts to Lidditz. Warwick is the 5, so they got the home game. I was just digging through some stuff here, trying to get some preview items. Warwick's defense has been really good. Number 2 in the league, 167 yards a game against. That's it. They have 2 kids with 90-plus tackles. Bagonis is really good as a nose guard. He kind of makes them tick on that side of the ball. They had back-to-back shutouts a couple of weeks back, and this, let's call this the nugget of the week. Warwick has given up a grand total of 14 points in the last 16 quarters. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Ship's always tough. Seems like they're always here. They always seem to be in this game and the next round before they run into McDevitt or somebody like that. And they like to run the ball. They're kind of a run-first team. So Warwick's going to have to play good D again and stop the run. Ship has that Carruthers kid who's like a speed back kind of a kid. He can really scoot. He's over 1,000 yards. So I have Warwick circled. I think they take care of business. They should be plenty motivated after losing to Ship last year. And Warwick shoulda, coulda beat New Oxford a couple of weeks back. Gave up 90 yards and didn't get a dub. So I like Warwick here. I'm gonna go Warriors over Greyhounds, and I will see you in Lidditz on Friday night. Looking forward to it. Lower Dauphin at Exeter. Interesting game. LD's here all the time. I think they might have maybe missed districts last year, but it seems like Lower Dauphin's here a lot. Traditionally strong program, mid-pen. They have that Strom kid, 1,000-yard rusher, and he has 100 tackles as well on defense. So he's a good-looking player. And the Falcons have to come to Exeter. Okay, plenty of Exeter nuggets. They got sucker punched back-to-back weeks. Hemfield, late-ish, pick 6. They lose 30-28. And then they had the 17-7 lead in the fourth quarter against CV, and the Bucks came back and won that with 2 touchdowns in the final 2:49. So Exeter was kind of, on the ropes a bit, and then week 10 they got E-Town and they won. They kind of got their swagger back, scored 42. Leo Brown had another big game, 150 plus. Let's talk about that. Brown has 1,906 yards rushing. So that's 94 yards shy of a 2,000-yard season. Oh my. I think he'll probably get that, 94 yards. That's well within his wheelhouse. He'd be the 12th LL back, 12th to get 2,000 yards rushing in a single season. And he'd be the second Exeter kid in a row to get it. Jaden Zandier had 2,050 yards plus last year. So what a milestone moment that could be for Exeter and Brown, who has really come on. And I'm glad I got to see him at the CV game, and he just ran wild. He had a 300-yard night, and he's a downhill kid, and when he gets going, oh my, he's tough to stop. I have Exeter circled here. They've been in a championship district game 3 of the last 4 years. They lost to McDevitt in last year's championship. I like Exeter's playoff pedigree here, and they're at home. And they have Mr. Brown. Exeter over Lower Dauphin. The last 5A game, Muhlenberg at Spring Grove Rockets. This is an interesting matchup. Spring Grove had that Kane kid, the running back, terrific player. He had nearly 600 yards in the first 3.5 games, and then he got hurt. So Spring Grove kind of had to shift their backfield around, and they have 2 freshman running backs, which is an interesting side note. They have 2 ninth graders in the backfield getting carries. So they're learning on the fly. Toot sweet. So the Rockets are interesting, and they're York Adams 1, so they play Central York and York. And all those bigger York Adams teams. So they're chiseled. Muhlenberg, 8 wins. What a season for them. They're back in districts for the first time since 2013. Cameron Small, running back. He rushed for 2,000 last year. This sounds like a big number. He needs 282 rushing here for 2,000 yards. Now, they're going to feed him anyway. I don't know if they're going to force feed him to get him to 2,000 because they want to win the game. any way possible, obviously. But Small has had 282 plus multiple times here in his career. He's been over 300. He had 290, I think, a couple of times. So 282 is certainly gettable for Mr. Small. So keep an eye on that in this game. I have Spring Grove circled. They have 7 wins. Muhlenberg has 8 wins. They both played kind of similar schedules in tough sections. Had to play some big boy games. And these here are always so tough. Is this the 8-9 game maybe? I mean, this is like coin toss pick 'em kind of a game. So I have the Rockets circled, probably for the home field advantage, if that's a real thing. Can Muhlenberg win? Yes, absolutely, especially if Small gets his 282 and scores 4 touchdowns. They could certainly win, but for pick purposes, Spring Grove over Muhlenberg, interesting matchup. That should be a really good game. Okay, 4A, Elko at Kennardale. Rams, Fawn Grove, PA. Very close to the Maryland line. They get the Raiders. Elko went into week 10 as the first team out, so they needed a win, and they got a win over Northern Lebanon. Did they score 40 plus? They had a big night. This Brindley Dunmoyer kid, the quarterback, has really come on. Pitch man, making the right reads. He rushed for 200 plus and 3 touchdowns last week against Northern Lebanon. And he threw a touchdown pass as well. Tyler and I were at Elko this week for the roundtable video show. Talked to a couple of Elko kids, got a good look at them at practice, and they're a fun bunch. They're focused and they're playing really well. And they had 2 gotta win games down the stretch to make districts, and they did. They beat Donegal and Northern Lebanon in week 9 and week 10 to go. So Elko's definitely has some mo right now going into this game. They have to go to Kennardale. Seems like Kennardale plays an LL team like every year, and they did this year. I think they played Fleetwood. So it's a familiar-ish kind of a team for LL combatants. I have Elko circled. From what I could gather at the Elko practice, they kind of mirror each other. Elko guys were talking about Kennardale can run the ball. Kind of a run-first team like Elko, with athletes, and an edge kid that can blitz and maybe cause some problems for Dunmoyer. So keep an eye on that. But for pick purposes, I have Elko circled. 5-5, yes, but 2 wins in a row, and they had to go through the Twin Valley YMSing LS gauntlet. I know they didn't win those, but when you play a schedule like that, where you got to prep for just those 3 teams for a whole week and then go play them on a Friday night, that gets you ready for big games. So I like Elko to win this big game. Let's go Raiders over Rams. AAA game rematch. Schuylkill Valley at Trinity Shamrocks. Interesting matchup here. They played last year in the semifinals in this bracket. It ended up going to OT. Trinity kicked a field goal and won it, 20-17. So the Panthers should be motivated here for this trip. This is the team that knocked them out last year in a shoulda coulda win kind of a night. Panthers 0-2 down the stretch. They lost to Catholic and they lost to Anvil, which ended up playing Berks Catholic last week for the Section 5 outright crown. Saints won that one in overtime. That must have been an unbelievable, epic grudge match, slugfest kind of a game over at Berks Catholic in Reading last week. That 14-7 in overtime, and the Saints held Anvil Cleona to like 60 rushing yards, which is unfathomable. I probably pronounced that wrong, but you know what I mean. You hold Anvil Cleona to 60 rushing yards. That's impressive. I have Trinity circled. Do they have the Panthers' number? Maybe, perhaps. As mentioned, the Panthers are 0-2 here down the stretch and looking for some mo. They got to go over to Camp Hill and play the Shamrocks on their field. So Trinity's the pick. Now, if Alatras has a big game through the air and Batista has a couple of touchdown catches and Brandon Pyle busts one, Schuylkill Valley could definitely be in the game. But again, I'm going home team here. I'm picking a lot of home teams. I'll go Trinity over Schuylkill Valley. We'll see how the Panthers maneuver their way through that rematch. Interesting. Okay, these two are really good. Really, really good matchups. 2A bracket. Just 4 teams got in. That's it. So straight to the semifinals in AA. And these are intriguing games. First up, Columbia. What a year for the Tide. They play Steel High, mighty Steel High. The Rollers. That's a neutral site game. Steel High's been playing road games all year. Stadium issues at their home turf. So this game will be played at Camp Hill at that Seibert Park. Nice big stadium. Plenty of room. So that will be the setting for Columbia Steel High. Steel High's won 5 district championships in a row. That's a mind bender. 4 in 1A, 1 in 2A. I think they're on like a 6-game winning streak in District 3 games. They won state titles in back-to-back years, 23 and 24. High-powered offense. Rollers are kind of District 3 royalty. They're right up there with the Mannheim Centrals and the McDevitt's and the Cumberland Valleys. Steel High is 17-2 in district championship games. 17-2. And they've been there a lot lately. Columbia, tip of the cap, seriously. They went from 0-13 to 5 wins. And scaring the living daylights out of everybody in those 5 losses. They've just been an awesome story, and it paid off with a district trip. So good on those guys for getting back to the postseason. First time since 2021. Nate Bagley got in there and pushed all the right buttons and does and says all the right things, and the Tide has bought in. And they're young. Oh, by the way, it seems like Cameron McClare has been at Columbia forever and a day, and he's only a junior, so he's got another year next year. And the kids who are starting to become household names, the Nichols and the Brommer and Marley, Reese, the Nichols kids, they're becoming household names here in the county. All of them will most likely be all-stars of some sort here in the coming weeks when that list comes out. So Columbia's had a great season. Steel High is circled on the card. There shouldn't be any butterflies on that side of the field. These guys have been here and done that 5 years in a row. They're a powerhouse. They're a powerhouse. So tricky trip for the Tide. Will they hang? Yeah, I expect them to hang. But I think Steel High might just have a couple of too many weapons here. And I think they can maybe outslug Columbia at the finish line. So this should be a good one. We'll see how the Tide handles the big stage and the spotlight in a district game. For the pick, I'll go Steel High over Columbia. Get yourself to Camp Hill for that. The other semifinal in 2A, interesting game. Lancaster Catholic at Halifax Wildcats. That's a trip. Leave early, Crusaders fans. It's a haul to get over to Halifax. A lot of fun winding roads through the mountains and the trees, and I got stuck in the snow in Halifax one night. So yeah, it's an interesting trip over there. So plan accordingly. And I heard there might be some weather actually this weekend. So it could be a chilly, windy, leaves blowing around, damp, perhaps rain on Friday night. So keep an eye on that. Okay, Catholic. They're hot. They won 3 in a row to get in, get the 3 seed. They jumped Columbia, and Columbia beat Catholic. Don't forget, back in September range. But Catholic's playing well. The DeMarco kid has taken over at quarterback, the 9th grader. He has settled in nicely. Last 3 games he started, I think. And they won all 3. Brandon Way needs 70 yards for 1,000. That would be his second straight 1,000-yard season. And Catholic's just found it. Offense is chugging. They're making plays. They're coming off a shutout. And they have a chance to get back to the finale. Don't forget, Catholic played Steel High in the championship game last year, and Steel High won. So Catholic should be plenty motivated here. They got to go over to Halifax. Wildcats are now Mid-Penn. Used to be Tri-Valley. A lot of those Tri-Valley football teams kind of morphed over into the Mid-Penn a year or two ago, something like that. So Halifax is a Mid-Penn now. So they play a good small school schedule, 2As. I have Halifax circled. Wildcats are tough. 7 wins, 8 wins. And they're at home. Can Catholic win or be in the game in the fourth quarter? Yeah, I kind of expect them to be. This could be a close one. But I have Halifax circled on the card. So let's go Wildcats over Crusaders. Enjoy that trip, Crusader Nation. Okay, the last game is one of those Eastern Conference games. Pequay was in that last year. Braves, they were in the 3A game and played Tamaqua. Governor Mifflin, 3-7. Okay. But play a good schedule, enough so that their power rating with the Eastern Conference got them in. They go to Pocono Mountain West Panthers out of District 11, also 6A. They're 5-5, I want to say. So they're an even, straight-up 500 team, win some, lose some. For Mifflin, this was a cool nugget. Lance Koenig, their kicker, who's a really good kicker, by the way. Very reliable kicker guy. Last week against Ephrata, he had 2 field goals. He kicked 2 extra points. He recovered an onside kick, which is pretty cool. And the topper, fake field goal, he threw a touchdown pass. What? 2 field goals, 2 extra points, recovered an onside kick, and threw a touchdown pass. That's a funky stat line, and I wouldn't even know where to start to find the last time somebody had 2 field goals and threw a touchdown pass in the same game. I'm sure it's happened, but I wouldn't even know where to start on that. So tip of the cap, Lance Koenig. That's a pretty cool stat, and here they are. Mifflin's in. Throw the record out. They're 3-7. I know. But they get this game. They're in the Eastern Conference game, and you kind of throw out the records here at this point, and you get a week 11, and you go play. I have Pocono Mountain West circled, home team, and a better record. I know, 5-5, but I have them circled. So I'm going to go Panthers at home. Pocono Mountain West over Mifflin. But hey, Mifflin's here. Look out. And if Koenig kicks a couple field goals and throws another touchdown pass and recovers another onside kick, maybe they pull one off and get an Eastern Conference win. We shall see. But for pick purposes, I'll go Pocono Mountain West. Okay, week 11 winners: Cedar Crest, Warwick, Exeter, Spring Grove, Elko, Trinity, Steel High, Halifax, Pocono Mountain West. Wanted to mention a couple things quickly. Housekeeping. Jason Rice has stepped down at Northern Lebanon. He and his wife are expecting their first child. And he told me this week that that has to be his priority now, is being a dad. She's due this winter, and he said, the back and forth and the travel and the distance and yada, yada. He said, I just got to be a dad now, so I got to concentrate on that. So Jason Rice is done at Northern Lebanon after 5 years. So Northern Lebanon is in the market for a coach. The league is in search of a new LL football chairperson, Tommy Long. 15 years, I think. He's been the chair for 15 years, so he ushered in the Berks teams coming in and the realignment every year and the Ephrata Lebanon thing a couple of years ago when they went down. But he's just taken the league to another level. I mean, this Berks thing has just been fabulous. You're going to get a team or 2 or 3 that's not going to be happy with what section they're in. etc. It happens. But believe me, Tommy has been well aware of who's happy, who's not happy, and whatever he could do to make the league the best it could be, he did. Trust me. I got a lot of behind-the-scenes time with Mr. Long over the years, and he's done an incredible job keeping this league floating, and it's one of the best leagues around, and he's done a phenomenal job. But he said, hey, other duties are calling, and I need to move on because it's time-consuming being the football chair. So Tommy's moving on. So we'll see who gets that job. Also, take a look on the page somewhere. It's on the football page still. You won't have to click around. But there will be changes here in the league in the next cycle, starting next fall. Long kept at 5 sections. The Section 1 teams are getting a crossover non-league game against the York Adams Division 1 teams. So the Section 1 LL teams don't have to scramble for that odd week non-league game in week 7 when it's really hard to get somebody. So they're doing crossovers with York Adams. That's a nice little relationship. Section 2 and Section 3 will play each other in a non-league crossover game. It'll be non-league. It won't count towards your league record. But the Section 2 and the Section 3 teams will play. So some of those rivalries will come back. Those LL kind of rivalry games that might have disappeared the last couple of years will come back. So 1, 2, and 3 was based on records over the last 4 years, and then the teams matched up. Best York record plays the best LL record, and so on and so forth. So that'll start next year. Won't that be fun? So stay tuned. The league will have a different look next year with some different matchups. And I think the one that surprised me, Township and Wilson are not playing in Week 10 next year. They're playing in Week 4. It'll be the section opener, not the section closer in Week 10. So the Wilson Township winner in Week 4 will get the early leg up, and then they got to, play it out and see where everybody is in Week 10. So you'll see a different kind of a schedule next year when we get to July and August, which will be here before you know it. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Lot going on. And congrats again to Tommy Long for excellent job, and looking forward to see who gets that gig moving forward. Okay, got to go. Enjoy Week 11. Just the 9 games, but some interesting matchups. The Columbia Catholic Steel High Halifax pod is great, and I'm looking forward to the trip to Warwick in Lidditz on Friday. I will see you there. It is the LL Football podcast, the Huddle. Sponsored by Auto House of Lancaster. I thank you for tuning in, and we'll keep doing these until nobody's left standing. Next week we'll be busy with all the bye teams jumping in, so maybe more than 9 games next week. We shall see. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the playoffs, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.